The Africa Women Conference AWC is an annual international event convened by HELPLINE Foundation for the Needy, an NGO in consultative status with the United Nations, in partnership with ECHO's Africa Initiative, a US-based NGO with focus on developing capacity for people of African descent. AWC provides a platform for global dialogues, policy deliberations, and collaborations among stakeholders in the formal and non-formal sectors towards the sustainable growth and development of not just the African continent, but for women of color across the globe. Since the idea for the AWC was conceived in 2017, 5 editions have been held successfully, bringing over 1,000 participants through dialogues, business partnership, and charity projects. According to Dr. Jummai Ahmadu, the core convener of AWC, the core objectives are to ensure full implementation of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals in Africa, to encourage collaborations and partnership among African women, organizations, and businesses for the greater good of women and girls in Africa, to bring women of African descent together to birth fresh ideas that can help increase their influence and productivity in different fields of endeavor, to provide a platform for Africa-focused businesses, philanthropists, and investors outside Africa to meet and forge alliances with female entrepreneurs, policymakers, influencers, professionals, academia, and charities to grow their businesses and interests, to provide a platform to network with other stakeholders from across the globe, to promote goods, services, and brands on a global stage. Another objective is to discover opportunities available for African women to grow in their various fields. The host of the 6th edition of African Women Conference AWC, Her Excellency Fatimatu Bahbaro, wife of the President of the Republic of the Gambia, welcomed all participants to the smiling coast of Africa with the assurance that the Gambia is opened more than ever for the common good of all.
The Honorable Minister of Gender, Children and Social Welfare, Your Excellency, the High Commissioner of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to the Gambia, the country representatives of UNDP and UNFPA, the wife of the Governor of Kaduna State, my sister, senior government officials here present, African Women Congress, co-convener Dr. Jummai Ahmadu and her team, the President of the GWCC and members of AWCC, female entrepreneurs from Nigeria and the Gambia, members of the media, the security. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon.
The First Lady expresses her desire to see African women network very well across the continent and grow in all the endeavors as she expresses her gratitude to the organizers of the AWC.
ITC can shape and enhance all sectors of society as it provides unique opportunities for human development. I now declare this valuable conference open. Thank you.
The AWC Gambia 2022 was declared open by Her Excellency Fatimatu Bahbaro after the opening remarks were made by Dr. Jummai Ahmadu, the convener of AWC, His Excellency Dr. Muhammad Manu, Nigeria High Commissioner to Republic of the Gambia, Dr. Hawa Mainoma, Director, Gender Studies, Nasarawa State University, Kefi, Nigeria, and goodwill messages were delivered by Dr. Ramatu Tijani Aliyu, the Honorable Minister of State of the Federal Capital Territory, Nigeria, through her representative, Muna Jallo. Ms. Inimfom Etuk, founder, She Forum Africa. Mrs. Dayo Benjamin Lani, multimedia executive, politician and women rights advocate.
The power in the room. We are a sister tribe. The Africa Women's Conference is not just about a conference, it's a convergence. It's not just about your quota, it's about our quantum. There is a power that the Africa woman carries. We want to talk about a voice, a value proposition, but it's when she sets that baby on the back and begins to carry another generation. The African woman here today is an expression of what convergence? The convergence is Africa, our continent. All eyes on Africa right now. The power of economic empowerment. The power, I said, of economic empowerment is the power of the African woman. And I don't say this to the exclusion of the investment, of the support, of the significant leadership that men, as leaders, as fathers, as progenitors, wherever they are around the world, represent and will continue to represent. Because our presentation of equity as the African woman is not a fight for equality. It is a very intentional will to establish a pedigree of who we are as women. Our voice as mothers, as models, as leaders too, not just in a space, but for generational integrations. Today, when the world looks at Africa, the real message that this conference is resonating is don't just look at Africa. Look again and look at the African woman and understand the brand Africa is a brand African woman.
Bosade Ogumboye, also known as Lekbashos Bosse, who is a lawyer, actor, and a stand-up comedian.
So during this conference, for the next 3 days, ladies, I charge you, live, shine, smile, because this is your season. It is your shining moment. It is the great moment that the African women need. You owe it to yourself to live and to shine. And on this note, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome you to the next 3 days of the amazing experience of your life for 2022. You're welcome to the African Women's Conference.
African leaders, opinion leaders, influencers, scholars, philanthropists, human rights and gender activists, playwrights and filmmakers on the African continent, and many other distinguished personalities, as well as corporate bodies and individuals promoting growth, stability and development of African women, all gathered at the Sir Dawda Jawara International Conference Center, Banjul, which is the venue of the 6th edition of the African Women Conference AWC, to further advance the cause of African women's development. The theme of the conference: accelerating women's economic empowerment and gender inclusion through the media, ICT and entertainment industries, attracted thought-provoking paper presentations from diverse backgrounds and experiences on global issues of gender disparity, gender discrimination, gender equal opportunity, sexual and reproductive health situation of the African woman, child marriage, sexual abuse, and a host of other related subjects militating against women empowerment and development in Africa. At the end of the 3-day interactive and highly rewarding event, the African Women Conference adopted key pronouncements and recommendations made to it and are therefore declared in a communique as follows.
We welcome our guests to the smiling coast of the Gambia, and of Africa rather, and I hope that you had very pleasant experiences since you arrived in this beautiful country called the Gambia. I am here this morning representing the Gambia Women's Chamber, and it is a pleasure on the occasion of the Africa Women Conference, which is to extend to all women entrepreneurs in recognition of your hard work and contribution to national development.
The AWC encourages governments in Africa states to prioritize women and gender inclusion in policy-making processes, such as it will create a pathway and cornerstone of action by government and development partners. Encourages women and girls to play more active roles in information, communication, and technology development. It also encourages African women to liaise with relevant stakeholders, including government agencies, local and international NGOs, to have mechanisms to interface with industry experts in the media, ICT, and entertainment industries in the respective countries in order to instigate a deliberate policy on gender inclusion and women's economic empowerment. The AWC prevails on the respective heads of government in Africa to foster unity, ease in trade and commerce within the continent, that is along the Western region. The conference also resolved to continue to engage governments within the West African region towards the establishment of a West African shipping line that will create better economic opportunities for African women in various sectors. The AWC also noted that, despite advocacy efforts by various organizations, it must continually advocate for social justice and the empowerment of women. The conference notes and emphasizes the need for solidarity and networking amongst women of influence, power, and authority. It notes further the power of investment in women as akin to investment in nation. It charges the African government to invest in girls' aspiration to develop a career in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, STEM, while noting the need to close the gender gap and the career of STEM, as well as open opportunities of comparative advantages to the female folks in the field of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. The conference also encourages private sector participation and requests that they continue to take the lead in the promotion of gender equality in STEM program while supporting government to develop deliberate policies to break barrier in gender inequality in science, technology, and engineering career. The conference commends the government of the Gambia for taking bold step in the institutionalization of STEM, deliberately targeting the female school children and encouraging a career-based science and technology education amongst young female pupils to favorably compete with their male counterpart in the Gambian economic space. The conference recognizes information, communication, and technology as necessary tools to addressing social norms and stereotypes that have over the years impeded the natural inbuilt women's potentials of not just being a manager and stabilizer in the family, but also a great contributor to a nation's socio-economic development.
Equality, development, and peace. Yes, we are arrested. All across the nations and all around the world, women are calling to be free, no longer in the shadow, forced to walk behind, but side by side. In truth, the truth of equality is that it's not a fact, it's a legacy. Yeah. It's a legacy you and I must live every day. And it's a choice.
AWC also recognizes media, ICT, and entertainment as desired tools to enhance regional stability and decimate the waves of communal conflicts across the African continent.
the way she used to. She's missing you.
Things are not exactly the same way they used to be.
The physician or medical doctor that cannot help herself.
It encourages African countries to create artistic development fund for women artists towards the promotion of the media, ICT, and entertainment. It encourages security agencies to partner with practitioners in the media, ICT, and entertainment industries to tell stories and push out media content that will promote sustainable peace in Africa. The conference encourages participants and indeed African women and men who are undergoing the challenges of infertility to seek help through assisted reproductive technology system in order to fight the social trauma associated with victims of infertility. It notes further that the psychology of infertility often resulted in emotional violence, which puts the African women at the receiving end. It therefore called on all stakeholders using ICT, the media and entertainment industry to spread the message of assisted reproductive technology system to fight the menace of victim stigmatization.
Domestic violence and other forms of violence against women due to always happen, especially against most women who are dependent on their spouses or partners. The reason is simple. She does not earn for herself and thus cannot take care of herself and her children should she have the need to leave the marriage or partnership. Regrettably, poverty seems to be a woman, as the woman is expected to care for her children and extended family members.
Looking forward into the future, the African Women Conference has established AWC Next as an intentional means of mentoring the next generation of leaders that will continue the works of AWC and equally filling up strategic leadership roles in other organizations across the continent and the world in general. The AWC Next is expected to be a chain to keep the leadership structure firm as it serves as a leadership incubator where the younger ones will be nurtured to maturity.
Young lady, blessing, Coco, Uben. Please keep putting your hands together until she comes. These are my speech in the smiling coast of Africa as the chairperson coordinator of AWC Next. The AWC Next is born out of our desire to treat perennial problems of poor mentorship, leadership skills, and lack of continuity, epitomized in the African professional leadership space. We have observed that most beautiful ages in the continent tend to fade off or lose regularly once indicating such ideas in the kind of space. Before I proceed, please, I would love to really appreciate, I would love to especially appreciate Dr. Jumai Amadi. You are a mentor, you are an Amazon, and you're a quintessential leader to an inspiration to young women like myself. Thank you for accepting us. Thank you for giving us this opportunity. You promise to make me proud.
Dr. Jumai Amadu will be serving as the overseer of the executive team. Fumi Ajari will be in the team as the executive representative of AWC. Meanwhile, Blessing Gogobem, Nigeria, is the chairperson. Kristen Sedeka from Ethiopia is the general secretary. Dr. Sabra Nasir Hussein from Tanzania is the regional head, East Africa. Ajaratu Traore from Mali is the regional head, West Africa. Awakabe from Gambia is the gender officer, and Aoline Makoni from Zimbabwe is the head of advocacy and policy. The three-day event climaxed in a dinner where participants were treated to some special meals and some Gambian delicacies. The participants and guests were equally thrilled and well entertained to some melodious cultural Gambian music and dance. Also, some distinguished personalities were honored with AWC awards to encourage them in their good works for the good of Africa and humanity in general.
African women, that we are going to use this to deepen our commitment towards gender equity, towards entrenching women's rights. And I want to assure you that National State University will continue to be gender friendly. I want to assure you that National State University Kebbi is willing to collaborate with African Women Conference in order to bring courses online that women leaders can enroll so that they can have the intellectual and academic capacity to carry on the struggle. On behalf of the university, on behalf of the Director, Center for Gender Studies, my wife, and all my colleagues, the representative of the minister who were seated together, I want to thank everybody and I want to congratulate African Women Conference for a very wonderful conference. Thank you very much. Thank you so much.